back here if they did not win it in the Island and still try and win it in their home building. On the other hand, the Islanders, they know they have to win at least one game here in the Montreal Forum out of the next three.
Guy Carbonneau, Chris Nyland, and Bob Gainey for Montreal against Trottier, Kennelly, and Bossy. And immediately Bossy is replaced in the starting lineup by Fleckler. So both teams starting a rather physical line is now Kennelly and Carbonneau. Bump after the whistle. You look at the starting forward lines. Both teams have started their trench fighters, haven't they?
They really have. Chris Nyland doesn't usually play that right side. In fact, now he's going off in favor of Mario Tremblay, who does usually play with Carbonneau and Gainey. Notice that after the stoppage in play, Nyland was shadowing Bryan Trottier.
Here is Potvin shooting it in. Robinson gets it set up from Steve Penny. Cleared it off the boards, and here's number 21, Guy Carbonneau. Long shot wide of the net, bounced right out in front, but then the Islanders clear it, and here is Robinson. Robinson's long shot handled by Smith, and the Bluebirds go to work on Billy Smith. Here's Tremblay in the corner for Montreal. Now Carbonneau back to Robinson, shoots, deflected, and Smith just got a piece of that with his pad as the shot was right along the ice and deflected. And now the Islanders clear the puck, the length of the ice, and are called for icing.
Take a look at Al Arbour behind the Islander bench. He has assigned Gord Lane to play tonight in place of Dave Langevin. We knew that Dave Langevin was going to be a doubtful after that shoulder injury reoccurred in the last game in the Island.
Always so calm and cool on the outside. He turns up inside those. Al Arbour, however.
I wonder what he thinks about his $3,000 worth of team fines that he received.
The Islanders were fined yesterday by the NHL $3,000 for remarks that Arbour made about the officiating after Game 2. Here's Mark Hunter poking it behind the net. Ryan Walter centered. Nobody there. Bossy had it. He was checked, and now Kenny Morrow around to Trottier. Headmanning it to number 21, Brent Sutter, who fires it in. Steve Penny clearing it on the boards. Over is Chris Chelios. He's tied up by Brent Sutter. Now back of the goal is Bossy. Out in front of the shot. Eddie Gilbert shot it wide, or Red Gilbert shot it wide from right in front. Now a loose puck at center ice. And the play then whistled on an offside as well. We're going to get a high sticking penalty here against the Islanders. And now Brent Sutter back at center ice has to be restrained. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The Stanley Cup playoffs are coming to you on
For high sticking was the call. You can take a look at it right along the blue line. There, Morrow gets his stick up high against number 11 for the Canadiens, Ryan Walter, who just previously had really leveled a good hard body check along the Canadian side to Bryan Trottier.
The Islanders, with superb penalty killing in Game 4, were able to tie the series up. Montreal on a power play right now. Here's the exciting young defenseman Chelios, number 24, dumping it in. Back of the net is Thomas Janssen. Cleared one to the line. Not out, however, but now Dennis Potvin does get it over onto left wing to Goring. Goring circling back for Janssen. And Thomas Janssen shoots the puck the length of the ice. Penalty or power play success so far. Montreal with 9 goals in the playoffs, a 14.5 percentage. Here's Naslund. Shoots it around in the boards. Over to get it is Dennis Potvin. Potvin knocked down. Now the puck center. Chelios shooting right on, and Smith the save, and then he's upended by Walter. The puck wound up going into the net, but after the whistle, as Smith had made the save, had possession, the whistle went, and then Walter crashed into Smith. Smith went down, the puck went into the net, but after the whistle.
This will be an interesting one to watch because Ryan Walter is really upset. He claimed that Smith took a dive. Let's see. Chelios making the shot, number 24. There you can see Walter. I think Walter's right leg just kind of skimmed around, but Billy sure did do a pretty good job of acting here. It looked as though he'd been shot. the way that he went down on his back.
I think you just have to say Billy Smith is really something.
Well, if you're watching in Hollywood, Billy Smith's got a couple of months off in the summer. I'm sure you could put him to work.
Meanwhile, a heads-up play by Smith. He got Walter a penalty. And there goes the Montreal advantage down the drain. And now each team will be a man short. Well, if you are an Islander fan, you love Billy Smith. You cheer for anybody else, you hate that guy.
Well,
he's that kind of player.
He certainly is, and I don't think anybody in the stands here tonight, except a few Islander fans, will approve of that incident.
Number 29, John Shabbat, on the ice for Montreal, playing his first action in this series. On the faceoff, it is Denis. Over to Brent Sutter, back to Dennis Potvin. And the Islander captain, Potvin, comes slowly out of his own zone. Ahead for Brent Sutter. Sutter in across the line, back to Denis. His shot high off the glass. And Lafleur tried to clear it off. Now Craig Ludwig, number 17. Speeds into the Islander zone, shoots. Sniff a body save there. Rebound cleared away. Ludwig was upended, and the fans holler about that. Now Lafleur to Craig Ludwig. Ludwig in front to Shabbat. To Lafleur, and Denis able to knock it away as he fell to the ice. And Potvin calmly cleared at the center ice. Each team a man short. Hamel to Ludwig. Bad pass by Ludwig, intercepted by Potvin. And here's Trottier. And you hear the boo birds on Trottier. All of course because of that crunching boarding penalty he took against Bob Gainey late in Game 4.
This game is authorized under television rights granted by the National Hockey League, intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Hockey League is strictly prohibited.
7 seconds left in Morrow's penalty. 1 minute and 1 second left in Walter's penalty. Here's number 19, Brian Trottier, who has been lustily booed in his early trips to the ice here in this game. Here's Robinson, number 19 for Montreal. Baudelaire broke it up, and Janssen leads an Islander rush back. Thomas Janssen leaves it for Bossy. Bossy checked from behind on a good defensive play by Carbonneau, who then cleared it to the Islander line. This is Paul Baudelaire. Now the Islanders on a brief power play as their penalized player Morrow is back on. Here's Janssen. Center to Trottier. He scores! Brian Trottier got his own rebound, and the Islanders strike first. Well, I was going to say all that booing and all that attention Trottier will get will do nothing but fire up that great competitor.
Didn't take his away from his concentration the least bit. Watch this pass by Janssen. Trottier just getting the rebound, deflecting it up high as Penny was going down. Now, once again, Thomas Janssen has a lot to do with getting this game going tonight, as he did in both games in the island. But you can see Steve Penny down flat on his rear end. And when that puck came out, it has not, or was not taken care of, as it was in the 2 games here in Montreal, where there was always a couple of players back to take care of the rebounds.
Brian Trottier's 6th goal of the playoffs, and the Islanders take the lead 1-0. Here's Baudelaire to Goring. Checked by Naslund. Right back comes Mondeau. He shoots one wide of the net. And now Dwayne Sutter knocks the puck back of the Islander goal to Baudelaire. He worked it around on left wing to Gillies. Gillies back to Baudelaire. Paul Baudelaire, number 4. Long shot, Penny the save, a big rebound, but Craig Ludwig is there to clear it. And now Chris Nyland shoots it into the center ice area, and Butch Goring back to get it, gives it to number 6, Morrow. Morrow shooting it in. Penny sets it up for Ludwig, who cleared it out on the boards. And the Canadiens attack right here, led by Pierre Mondeau. Mondeau stopped, fell down, tried to center it. Here's Naslund in front. Hunter's shot blocked by Potvin. And then Tonelli cleared it to Potvin, who winds it around onto the right wing side to Dwayne Sutter. He gives it to Trottier. Now Into Tonelli in. Big save. Penny stopped. John Tonelli breaking in on the left side. And a big save there by Steve Penny. With the score, the Islanders won, Montreal nothing. We'll return to Montreal right after this. Trottier has 6 of the playoffs. Janssen and Bossy the assists. 3:55 of the opening period of the time. Gary pointed out Janssen scored the first goal of the game in games 3 and 4 in Long Island. Now tonight sets up the game's first goal here in Montreal. Montreal shooting it in. The Islanders flatly back to get it. Bobby Smith hammered him down with a solid check. And a jam up on the boards, and now some pushing and shoving. Smith, usually not that type of player, really came in and threw that long body of his into a couple of Islanders. Meanwhile, a big save moments ago by Steve Penny on John Tonelli.
Watch the way Tonelli goes in here. He's got lots of time. He's trying to find the opening. Tonelli also, Dan, he had to have been tired because he had really been involved in a couple of stiff body checks. First of all, Nyland, just earlier on that shift. Tonelli had been out for a fair time, but even still, he got good wood on it, but Penny comes up with a save.
Here's Carbonneau on a forward line with Gainey and Tremblay. The Islanders have Brent Sutter, Bossy, and Trottier out there. Here's Gainey near the blue line. His shot hit Brent Sutter, bounces to center. Robinson back to Chelios. Flipping it on the boards, cleared it in. Boudelier unable to get it up. Mario Tremblay centered, but Mike Bossy was positioned perfectly to break it up. Here's Chelios to Gainey. Couldn't handle the pass, and Morrow cleared it out for New York. Number 19, Larry Robinson. Over to the rookie, Chelios. Chelios gives it back to Robinson. He has to drop it back again to number 24, Chris Chelios. Now to Robinson. Back to Chelios. Feeding it to Carbonneau at center. Into the Islander zone, Carbonneau shoots it off the boards. Tremblay and Boudelier fight for it. And Brent Sutter gets it for New York. Number 21, Brent Sutter. Shot it in. Bob Gainey is there to knock it down. And then Gainey cleared one to center ice. Picked up by Tremblay for Montreal. Long shot. Smith a stick save. Morrow cleared the rebound. And here's Brent Sutter onside on the play. To Dwayne Sutter. Cuts behind the net, tried to center. Gilbert checked by Chelios. Now Dwayne Sutter again centered. And Hamel knocked it down. A pass to Lafleur broken up by Dineen, and Boudelier dumps it back in. Penny misplayed the puck, but fortunately for Montreal, it went right to Chelios, who shoots it down the ice. Number 5 is Potvin. The Islanders leading here in the first period, 1-0. Dennis Potvin to Gord Dineen. Back to the veteran team captain, Potvin, number 5. Chabot checks him at center, but Clark Gillies is there to drop it to Dineen. Now to Dwayne Sutter, who flips a high one in. Gillies went in to take a whack at it, but missed it. And Lafleur then clears to number 29, John Chabot. Chabot in front to Lafleur. Missed the save on Lafleur. And we'll get a penalty here against the Islanders. And New York will be shorthanded. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The Stanley Cup playoffs are coming to you on USA.
We will be back once again on USA Sports Saturday night for Game 6 of the Wales Conference Finals. It will be the Islanders and the Montreal Canadiens once again at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. One of these two teams will be facing elimination. That will be in Game 6 Saturday night at the Nassau Coliseum as the chase for the Stanley Cup in 1984 continues on USA.
Gord Dineen in the penalty box for the Islanders. 2 minutes for holding was the call at the 7:39 mark. Let's take a look at that penalty. There you see Dineen holding number 31, Mike McPhee. Guy Lafleur just off to your right. While that penalty was being taken place, Lafleur had an excellent opportunity. He very much needs to score a goal, Dan.
He hasn't scored in the playoffs since 1982. 16 straight playoff games without a goal. Meanwhile, he's also got a consecutive game streak of regular season and playoffs this year of 26 without a goal. But he just about did it there. Here's Montreal with this chance, and Lafleur, number 10, breaks down the left side. Lafleur out in front to Robinson. His shot went wide of the net, and Dennis Potvin cleared it. Lafleur couldn't hold it in. And here's Anders Keller for the Islanders. Keller knocked off the puck, and Naslund has it for Montreal. Number 26, Little Mats Naslund. Couldn't get around Goring, and the veteran Goring with a good play clears it away.
The Canadiens have not been sharp in this first half of the period. Their passing has not been on. They don't seem to have the same spark that they've had in the other 4 games.
The Islanders clear it down the ice. Cleared around on the boards by Penny to Lafleur. 54 seconds left in the penalty. Lafleur to shot. Shoot! Wide by a couple of feet. Shot went barging in on the left side, but missed by a good 2 feet. Rick Green for Montreal. To Chelios, now to Mark Hunter. Into Shutt. Shoots! Smith the save on Steve Shutt. Here's Hunter for Montreal. Back to Green. Shot caught by Smith. With Shutt hanging around that goal crease. But Billy Smith, who makes it look, well, I don't know if he makes it look easy, but he makes all those key moves so calmly.
I agree with you the first time. I think he does make things look easy out there, Dan. Look at him. He comes out, cuts down the angle on Shutt. Shutt had 2 good scoring opportunities there, coming off that left side, someplace where Shutt can score goals from. But this time, that shot coming from the point by Rick Green. There's number 22, Steve Shutt, ready for a rebound. Billy Smith gives him none.
Steve Shutt with a surprising playoff. 7 goals in 9 games after a very poor regular season for Steve Shutt. So he's redeemed himself. He had only 14 goals in the regular season. Puck comes to the Montreal line, and Chelios feeds it to number 29, Shabbat. Now to Chelios, who's been so outstanding for this Montreal team in the playoffs. Chris Chelios centered it, but Brent Sutter was there. And Sutter for the Islanders. Around the defense and on goal. He scores! What a goal by Brent Sutter. Out killing a penalty, and he scores a short-handed goal to give the Islanders a 2-0 lead.
You can see Steve Penny. He's shaken up by this one. Brent Sutter's probably been the most consistent Islander forward during the course of the playoffs. Look at the move he made on Steve Shutt, and then look at that shot right up in the top corner, stick side. What a move. Right on Steve Shutt. Shutt went to give him the old hip check, missed him totally. Brent Sutter goes for the top corner. Steve Penny, you can see him. He's playing the angle. At least he thought he had the angle, but that upper corner, as we could see Steve Penny being isolated there. That puck just going high on the stick side. Beautiful shot by Brent Sutter.
How much is the fact that Shutt was the man back because of the power play the key to the way Sutter went around him? If it had been a defenseman, he might have been able to waltz around that easily.
That's a good point, Dan, because forwards don't really like to get caught back on one-on-one situations. They're just not used to facing them, especially when they're skating backwards. At the time, Shutt wasn't even skating backwards. He was standing still, caught flat-footed at the blue line.
Here's Bossy for New York. The Islanders with a 2-0 lead. Billy Carroll into Tonelli. Behind the net to Bossy. Out in front, a shot. Penny the save. Rebound, he's able to grab that. The red light comes on, but I think play had been called. Well, it's a 2-0 Islander lead here in Montreal. The Stanley Cup playoffs are coming to you on UF. That last Islander goal, Brent Sutter, 9:36, a short-handed goal, unassisted, and the Canadiens in difficulty right now.
Well, this building as well has just completely died.
Here's Bossy with a chance. Couldn't get the shot off. And the Islanders with pressure on, but Dineen at the point couldn't hold it in. Now did shoot it in, but Carbonneau comes back for Montreal. Guy Carbonneau cuts around to the side of the net. Now Dennis Potvin tried to clear it. It comes to Trottier. To Mike Bossy and back to Trottier. Trottier number 19. Flipping it in on right wing for Bossy. Broken up and Green. And shoots it into the New York zone. Dennis Potvin back for the Islanders.
Watch the Islanders in their own end zone. They just play so disciplined. They also have the size and strength to be able to play defensively in their own zone well. They just move it very quickly, try to get out with that one pass, but hold their positions well.
There you saw a good example as Dineen and Potvin moved it up to the forwards. They dump it in. Now sending in two men to try and get it. Billy Carroll, one of the two, along with Anders Keller. And they hold the puck against the boards and force a face-off in the Montreal zone.
Rick Green, who we have mentioned many times when we've been following the Canadiens during playoffs, has been quite an addition back in the blue line. I think, however, though, that every team has been playing somewhat on top of Rick Green. He's a big, strong man, but remember, he only played 7 games during the course of the regular season, and I think that he's a little bit tired right now. He's had plenty of work. The Canadiens have only been going with 5 defensemen, and I'm not so sure that that is a sound move when you have to play a long series.
Well, it's been able to get them here, but you wonder how long they'll be able to hold on with that system because of the physical demands on those 5 people. Puck is cleared immediately down the ice. Smith away out of the net to shoot it up. Now the puck coming near the Montreal line, and Chelios has it for Montreal. Chris Chelios through center ice into the Islander zone. Back checking was Carroll. He knocked it down and gives it to Nystrom. Nystrom to Carroll at center. Nyland knocks that down. And here's Naslund over to Chelios. Chris Chelios shooting it in. Naslund in after it. Shot up high over top of the net. Now Baudelaire cleared it back to the goal, and Morrow works it around to Nystrom. And there again, you see the way the Islanders worked it out, only they didn't get it all the way out this time. Here's Mondeau on the boards. There's going to be a penalty to New York. A delayed penalty coming up. Pass centered, and as Baudelaire gets it. Now Billy Smith, I believe, will get a slashing penalty. I think the penalty is against Smith. Anyway, it's against the Islanders, and for our local systems, we'll pause here. You're watching Stanley Cup Hockey on USA.
This has certainly been an interesting series between the Islanders and the Canadiens because the Canadiens have the old dynasty and the Islanders have the new. There are 18 different cities who have sent writers here from their respective newspapers. That's the kind of interest that's been generated by the Islanders and Canadiens. I'll be back in the studio at the end of the first period chatting with the man they call Bam Bam, Big Dave Langevin, who's out with a separated shoulder. In addition to that, Gordie Howe will be the topic of Hockey Legends. Stay with us.
Well, it was Billy Smith who got that penalty. Here it is.
Well, watch Smith on Chris Nyland, number 30. Smith gets it anyway for slashing. 12:06 was the time. Bob Nystrom in the penalty box serving Smith's minor.
And the Canadiens trailing by 2-0 with a power play chance here. Smith to Chelios at the right point. And on the boards to Shabbat, back to Chelios. His shot deflected wide, and Morrow for New York. Clearing it. Robinson held it in, but Trottier intercepts his pass. Fires a long one down the ice that Penny had to make the save on. Here's Robinson. Leaving it for the young rookie Chelios. Now to Shabbat, number 29. Shabbat trying to center one, did, but Goring was there. Feeds it ahead to Gilbert. He's got a break on left wing. Goes in, shoots one, and he shot it wide as he tried for the short side. Puck bounces all the way to center. Morrow giving it back to Gilbert. This is what the Islanders did so well in winning the 4th game of the series. Their penalty killing was tremendous. I think they held Montreal to 1 power play goal and 10 power play advantages.
They've got so much confidence on it, Dan. They just don't throw away the puck. They look to kill off the clock. They look to, once they do throw it down the ice, to pick those holes.
Here's Shabbat. Into Smith in the corner. Smith trying to center it. Puck comes loose. Dennis Potvin able to fire it. Robinson had it bounce over his stick. Anders Keller racing away for New York. Here's Keller. Shoots. Save made by Penny. And Brent Sutter now centered it to Keller in front. And the Islanders scored a shorthanded goal last time. And they've had a couple of chances on this one. Here's Bobby Smith into Shabbat. Shabbat, number 29. Moves in, fakes the shot. Over to Green to Chelios. His shot blocked. And now Janssen Takes the Montreal player out of the play into the corner. It was Hunter. Here's Bobby Smith. To Chelios. Shooting. Blocked at the defense by Potvin. And then cleared by Janssen. Just 4 seconds left in the penalty to Smith, which Nystrom is serving. And Nystrom is back on. And another great penalty-killing job by the Islanders.
Really has been. Larry Robinson went off the ice, and he really looked tired, Dan. I had mentioned that Rick Green looked a little tired tonight. I think Larry Robinson is suffering somewhat, too, from fatigue. I just can't see the point of dressing 13 forwards and only 5 defensemen.
Here's Kennelly with a shot. High and wide. And the puck went up over the glass. Meanwhile, we're going to get penalties behind the play against each team. You're watching Stanley Cup hockey on USA, and the Islanders, the goals here by the Islanders, Trottier and Brent Sutter, have quietened them down considerably. Meanwhile, on the last play, penalties against each team. Rick Green of Montreal and John Tonelli of the Islanders. Green got his for slashing, Tonelli his for boarding. And so more skating room with each team a man short. Here's Hamel. Lead pass to Carbonneau. He broke in but couldn't catch up with the puck. And Carbonneau knocked Trottier flying, and that gets a great roar. Back comes Bossy, number 22. Flipping it in, Hamel knocks it down and drops it to Ludwig. Greg Ludwig, forecheck by Trottier. And now Carbonneau has it for Montreal, number 21. Guy Carbonneau being hacked at by Trottier, gives it to Gainey. Bob Gainey now slides it in near the net, and Smith leaves it for Baudelaire. Paul Baudelaire lugs the puck to center. In across the line to Bossy. Bossy checked by Hamel, number 28. Jean Hamel for Montreal. Comes to center. Cleared it ahead for Mondeau. Quick wrist shot wide by a couple of feet. And Billy Carroll has it for New York, dropping it to number 6, Morrow. Just over 4 minutes to play here in the first period, and the Islanders have a 2-0 lead. Kenny Morrow to Gillies on right wing. Clark Gillies, number 9. Lets a long one go. It takes off and goes up into the crowd here at the Forum in Montreal.
Dan, one thing I noticed the last part of that shift, Mike Bossy was having a tough time handling the puck. He's been criticized through the course of playoffs, saying that he really hasn't been doing what he's been expected to do, yet he has been so closely watched. And take a look at this play in front of Billy Smith, play of Mark Hunter, giving Smith some problems, and Smith likewise to Mark Hunter with that return of the stick. But getting back to Bossy, the thing that I like about him, that he's not hurting his team. There was a time there just on that last shift that he could have well gone in and really gambled to try and get an offensive play, but instead he curled, came back, made sure that he picked up his check, so he's making sure defensively anyway. He's not greedy offensively.
Here's the rookie Chris Chelios. Trying to go through the defense. Janssen and Potvin sandwiched him out of the play. And play had been called anyway. We're going to get a penalty back of the play against Gillies of the Islanders for interference. Something happened away from where the puck carrier was, and Gillies goes to the penalty box and gets an interference call.
Well, take a look at it. There you see Chelios trying to split the defense between Potvin and Janssen. Doesn't succeed, however. I'm not quite sure, though, how Gillies comes into the picture as far as taking the penalty.
Well, it was an interference call, so he obviously interfered with the trailer on the play or someone out of the picture. That will mean that the Islanders will be 2 men short. Montreal just 1. An interference call at 16-16 here of the third period. So a chance for Montreal with the man advantage. Brent Sutter against Walter. Walter gets it to Robinson. To Lafleur. Shoots one. That's deflected into the corner. Now Ryan Walter to Schutt. Steve Schutt to Lafleur. Over to Robinson. Robinson back to Lafleur. Some of the penalized players back on at center to Schutt. Back to Robinson, a drive. Smith to save. Lafleur a shot. Smith stopped that. And the Islanders come back with Brent Sutter beating it ahead to Tonelli at center. Only one man in the penalty box. Now it's Clark Gillies. Here's Lafleur. Drop pass back. Comes to Naslund. That's Naslund for Montreal. Handed it right to Anders Keller, and the Islanders have a 2-on-1 break. Keller with Goring. Pass to Goring, and he fanned on it, trying to deflect it in. And Lafleur for the Canadiens to Walter. Leaving it for Schutt. Schutt shot blocked by Morrow, who, like the Rock of Gibraltar, stands there on that Islander defense. Chelios with 50 seconds left in Gillies' penalty. Chelios moving in. Shoots one. Smith turns out of side. Now Smith and Morrow. Puck comes to Chelios. Shot deflected wide. Morrow beats Smith to the puck. Cleared it and cleared it over the glass into the crowd. We're down to 34 seconds left in the penalty to Gillies. And Billy Smith hollers at the referee, Bob Myers, about something.
Well, what he was hollering about was the fact that he felt that Chris Nyland maybe was doing a little bit of interference in front of the net, or Ryan Walter. Now, this time you see Ryan Walter in front of the net area. Walter not interfering, however, with Smith, but I'm not so sure right after that Nyland might not have gotten in there. I don't think that was the incident that Smith was upset about earlier. Just before that, Chris Nyland had skated through the crease and had taken a whack at Billy Smith. Of course, one whack deserves another whack, and Billy Smith, I'm sure, will get the license plate number of Chris Nyland.
Shots on goal favor Montreal by a margin of 11-9, but the Islanders have scored both of the goals and lead 2-0. They got an early goal from Trottier at 3:55 on a power play, and then a great shorthanded goal by Brent Sutter at 9:36 to make it 2-0. There are the Islanders winning the faceoff, and quickly Brent Sutter shoots it down the ice. Chelios back to get it. What an addition this young man has been to the Montreal club in these playoffs. Chris Chelios, a rookie off the United States Olympic team. Now Potvin breaks it up and shoots it down the ice. Green going back to get it. Headmanning it to Smith, number 15. Smith checked by Potvin. Trottier cleared it, but not out. Canadiens hold it in, but Trottier is there again. Flipping it to Gillies, who's just out of the penalty box. And Gillies just shoots it into the Montreal zone. The Islanders are back at full strength. Green clears to Nyland. Number 30, Chris Nyland. Checked from behind by Greg Gilbert. And now Chelios at it. Here's Nyland getting a loose puck and dumping it in. And Smith feeds it to Bossy, and the Islanders come right out of that zone. Baudelaire, number 4, trying to go around Craig Ludwig. Ludwig took him out of the play. Over comes Carbonneau, and it's held there for a faceoff. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, and this is the USA Network. These Islanders tonight look like the Islanders of the last few years.
And Dan, the Montreal Canadiens look like the Montreal Canadiens during the regular season right now. Now, maybe that's not fair, but they have not had much going for them this period. Their momentum has not been in their favor, and their passing and their overall play has not been the disciplined play that we've seen the Canadiens engage in during the course of the playoffs this year.
And they've had 4 power play opportunities, so they've had their chances to get some offense going, but the Islander penalty killing has been great, and the Islanders have even scored a shorthanded goal.
Islanders just with discipline, sheer discipline out there, intensity when they need it. But they don't overreact to situations. They just play their positions, and their passing tonight has been excellent.
Here's Potvin. Trying to clear one. Did to Tonelli, who had fallen down. Gets up again, and calmly just drops it back to Dennis Potvin. There's a pass to Trottier that's off the mark. Canadiens Nyland flipping it in, and Thomas Janssen has it for New York. Janssen. Over to Potvin, back to Janssen. Back to Potvin, return to Janssen as they deliberately and very intelligently try and move out of their own zone, and here you see them do it. Sometimes they take a little more time, but they do it the sure, safe way usually.
Well, on that particular occasion, they were also
In
frustrated.
Montreal, and they lead the Canadiens. We're back live on St. Catherine Street in front of a raucous sellout crowd at the Forum in Montreal. We've played one period, and the Islanders lead the Montreal Canadiens by a period is next. Stay with us.
Here we go to the second period at the Montreal Forum. It is 2-0 for the Islanders. You see the first-year coach of the Canadiens, Jacques Lemaire, pacing behind the bench. Here we go with period 2, and Dennis Potvin back to get it for the Islanders, number 5. He clears it to Trottier. Or to Tonelli, I should say, and Tonelli dumps it in. Greg Ludwig back to get it. Over to Gainey. Now to Guy Carbonneau, number 21. Here's Carbonneau. Shoots one. He fired that wide from a bad angle. Puck comes right to Trottier. To number 22, Bossy. Long shot, a high, ripping shot off the glass. Now Tonelli. Kicked it. It came outside the line. And then when Brent Sutter carried it back in, the play called it an offside.
Larry Robinson, who gave the puck away a few times in that first period, and I had mentioned that I thought he looked a little tired. He's going to be somebody right now that the Canadiens are going to have to call on a lot, especially to get that puck out of their own zone. 10-9 were the shots on net after the first period. The Canadiens have got to muster a little better attack and get some good shots on Billy Smith, and I think that if they start shooting from the point, as they did in the Quebec series, that if they get some screens set up in front of Smith, they'll have better success.
Here are the Islanders. Flatley to Brent Sutter, whose shot is high. Bounces to Nyland. Nyland then gets away from Baudelaire, but back checking was Greg Gilbert. Shot it back into the Montreal zone. Hamel now feeding it to Green. Number 5, Rick Green. To Jean Hamel. To Mondeau, ahead on the wing to Naslund. Matt Naslund shoots. Stick save by Smith. Held in by Green, but Baudelaire has it for New York. Hammered against the boards by Nyland. Baudelaire then drops it back, and Kenny Morrow cleared it. Matt Naslund has it. Shoots one. One up high and wide of the net, and Pat Flatley, number 8, takes over for New York. Flatley to Ken Morrow. Perfect pass to Brent Sutter, ahead to Gilbert. Greg Gilbert back to Sutter. Pass was in his skates. Now Mondeau and Sutter fight for it. Comes to Flatley, the rookie, and his drop pass was off the mark and comes all the way back into the New York zone. Here's Ken Morrow. Long pass up the middle. Will go the length of the ice and will be an icing call against New York. From Alaska to Hawaii, you're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on USA. "18 minutes and 9 seconds left in the second period. The Islanders leading 2-0. A face-off in the New York zone. Won by the Islanders, and Deneen gives it to Dwayne Sutter, who shot it to center. E. Lafleur going back to get it. Lafleur mired in the longest scoring slump of his NHL career. Now Shabbat got to center. Dwayne Sutter intercepting that. Gives it to Butch Goring, who drops it to Deneen. Now over to Dennis Potvin. Feeds to Dwayne Sutter. Sutter moves in. Robinson takes it away from Sutter. And Big Bird 19, Larry Robinson, starts back. Trying to go through the defense. Too well checked in the play. Robinson gets it again. In behind the net. Unable to center it was Shabbat. Now McPhee for Montreal. To Lafleur. Couldn't get his shot off. Lafleur behind the net. Shabbat missed that pass, and here's Robinson clearing it in behind the goal again. And Clark Gillies for New York. Shot it out on the board. Here's Dwayne Sutter trying to shoot it in. Robinson gives to Lafleur. Lafleur into Ryan Walter. Deneen skates Walter off. Here's Shabbat. Centered it. Smith cleared it away, and Potvin cleared it and shot it up over the glass and into the crowd. 2-0. The Islanders leading. We're early in the second period. As you look at Jacques Lemaire, he's said a couple of times he doesn't enjoy the coaching aspect in the NHL.
I'm sure he's not enjoying it right now, being down 2-0 in this very crucial game to the Canadiens. he also knows that his team has to generate some offense right now. Therefore, they cannot play their winning style of hockey, and that is playing very defensively. I think the Islanders right now are playing it very cautiously, laying back defensively somewhat, and waiting for the Montreal Canadiens to make some mistakes offensively. That has happened once already in this second period of play, where the Islanders had a 3-on-2 situation, and that was the result of a breakup play when the Canadiens were trying to press.
The Canadiens need a spark right here. They're trailing 2-0. And the Islanders are a hard team to play catch-up hockey against. A very disciplined and poised team. Here's Brent Sutter at center. Shoots it in. Greg Ludwig, number 17, back to get it. Passed it on the boards, and Gainey pokes it down into the New York zone with Baudelaire, number 4, back after it. His pass to Ken Morrow. Morrow at center. Carbonneau intercepts that. Now Bossy overskated it, but Bossy gets it again. Pass to Gilbert behind him. And here comes Gainey for Montreal. Bob Gainey trying to center one. Here's stolen by Montreal. Tremblay. Shot. Smith the save, and he went to his knees. The Islanders coughed it up, and Smith had to make a big save. Exclusive national coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's
Kenny Morrow doesn't often give up the puck in his own zone, but he did on that occasion. Mario Tremblay lost his balance, didn't really get off a good shot, but Smith was there to make the save anyway.
Now the Canadiens, Hamel held it in, but cleared by the Islanders, and here's Brent Sutter. The end of Flatley, number 8. Pat Flatley center to Trottier. Big rebound. Baudelaire couldn't get it. Now Flatley knocked it down, but Smith has it for Montreal. Flatley checking him. Over to Trottier. Back into Tonelli on left wing. John Tonelli, number 27, ridden out of the play. And Hamel for Montreal cleared it. And now back of the net. Ludwig and Tonelli almost got into it, and Bob Myers, the referee, will send them both to the penalty box.
John Tonelli has almost been as much the center of attention tonight as far as the Canadiens are concerned, as was the expected Brian Trottier. Tonelli going to the penalty box, as well as Ludwig right now. I think an exchange of some elbows and maybe even a high stick. Let's watch, first of all, that elbow being delivered by Ludwig. I think Tonelli was kind of looking at Bob Myers saying, why me? With Myers deciding, well, Tonelli has been as much an instigator in this series of any misconduct as anyone, so let's even up the situation and send them both to the box, cool them off.
2-0, the Islanders leading. The series tied at 2 games apiece. Here's Pierre Mondeau against Bill Carroll on a face-off in the Montreal zone, and Robinson, number 19, has it for the Canadiens. Robinson to Chelios. Chris Chelios to Pierre Mondeau, number 6. Mondeau checked by Thomas Janssen. Winds it around, it hit somebody, bounced near the net, and Smith had to clear it away, and now Janssen drops it back of the goal to Dennis Potvin. Potvin to Janssen. Now it's center to Carroll, broken up by Robinson. Here's Little Naslund, number 26. Naslund checked by Potvin, and Carroll, number 25, for New York, giving it to Janssen. Thomas Janssen, very adept at carrying the puck out of his own zone. He does it there without any bother at all from the Canadiens. Dumped it in. Now Carroll centered one to Keller. He was wide open but couldn't handle it. Back comes Chabot to Robinson. Back to Chabot. Circles the net, centered it out in front. And Billy Smith clears it away for Kenny Morrow, number 6. Each team a man short. Morrow trying to go around Chelios, who took him out of the play. And now Chabot, number 29, inserted into the Montreal lineup tonight to replace Terry Turnbull. Gives it to Chelios. Chelios, number 24, centered in front. Lafleur couldn't get it. Gillies knocked it away, and Morrow has it for New York. 30 seconds left in the penalties to Tonelli into Ludwig. So each team still a man short. Here's Baudelaire to Morrow. Morrow to Goring. Lafleur intercepts that. Now Hamel, number 28. Over for Chabot. Moving in, shoots his shot. Nowhere near the net. Here's Lafleur to Green. Green, a drive high over the glass. And a stoppage in play.
Once again, the Canadiens being a little bit frustrated now, trying to get shots off. Islanders deflecting them.
For our local systems, we'll pause here. You're watching Stanley Cup hockey on USA. Slide the puck down into the Montreal zone. Rick Green, number 5, back to get it. Green. Ahead to Gainey, now to Tremblay. Out of his reach, and Potvin feeds it to Tonelli, now to Flatley. That Flatley shot right on. Save made there by Penny. Now Montreal Smith. Checked by Tonelli. Tonelli to Flatley. And Hamel rides Flatley out of the play. Here's Smith to Tremblay, number 14. Now to Bob Gainey, number 23. Gainey to Smith. Jackson Trottier trying to set Tonelli up, the pass out of his reach. And Green goes back for Montreal. Green at center to Ryan Walter. The puck goes into the New York zone with the rookie Gord Dineen back to get it and controlling it behind his own goal. Passed it off the boards to center ice. Taken by Hunter and shot back in. And Dineen again back for New York. Quickly to Dennis Potvin. Now to Mike Bossy. Here's Bossy. Flipping it in for Sutter. Bossy and Trottier have been split up again. Here's Bossy trying to center one. And Smith cleared it to Hunter, but he shot it right on the Boudelier's stick at center. Now Morrow to Gilbert, back to Paul Baudelaire. Over to Kenny Morrow. Now at center ice, Bossy. Into Brent Sutter. Back to Bossy. Cleared by Gilbert into the corner. Chelios for Montreal to Guy Carbonneau, number 21. Carbonneau crosses the red line and shot it in. Smith cleared it. Here's Tremblay. Centers one, but Montreal in the act of changing, and no one was covering the point. Teams are back at full strength now. Ludwig and Tonelli are out of that penalty box. This is Baudelaire, number 4. Paul Baudelaire. To center ice. Flips it into the Montreal zone. Chelios for the Canadiens. Back to get it. Long pass. Down the ice it will go, and it will be an icing call. A very close checking game at this point. The Islanders lead Montreal 2-0. There the Islanders with Bob Nystrom, number 23. Shot right on. Steve Penny has made the save and then held onto it. Not many scoring chances in this period, Gary. Both teams are playing it very close to the best.
Well, I think the Islanders have good reason to play it very cautiously right now. They have that 2-0 lead, and so they're not going to waste any extra energy right now. Meanwhile, the Canadiens just can't get anything going. They're trying to work it up the middle. The Islanders are taking it away.
Here's Robinson with a shot. Smith turned that aside, and it's cleared on the boards to Keller. Keller now dropping it to Dennis Potvin. Potvin feeds it to Nystrom, but the puck goes off Robinson's stick and up over the glass and into the crowd. I mentioned on that last shift and for most of the game, Brian Trottier and Mike Bossy are usually together. Have been separated. That's something that Al Arvin game 3 of the series, and sometimes they'll be out together, but many times they're not.
Well, Trottier has been used a great deal this series with Tonelli on his left side, Flatley on his right. Bossy was switched with Sutter and Gilbert. So Al Arbour doing some line juggling, trying to get Bossy and Trottier going more than anything else. He says that was more the reason than trying to keep them away from Carbonneau and Gainey.
Here's the lineup now. It's Goring, Gillies, and Dwayne Sutter against Chabot, Lafleur, and Schutt for Montreal. This is Dwayne Sutter back to get it. Sutter right in front of his own goal. Cleared it. Green held it in. Got it into the corner, and Morrow now works it to Dwayne Sutter. Lafleur knocks it down. Centered one. Knocked away by Morrow and cleared by Goring. And Green has it for Montreal. Over to Ludwig. Now to Schutt. To Lafleur. Lafleur. Back to Green. Shot turned aside by Smith. Schutt and Morrow to the corner. Puck comes to Lafleur. Goring tying Lafleur up. Now Chabot. Checked by Baudelaire. Baudelaire falls. So does Chabot. Puck is still loose, and Lafleur dropped it back, but Dwayne Sutter has it for the Islanders. Sutter flipping it in. Ludwig back to get it. Sutter knocked him down. Sutter now trying to get the puck loose. Did to Goring. Goring to Sutter in front of the net. And Green for Montreal takes over. Number 5, Rick Green, just dumping it in. Dennis Potvin. Pass to Tonelli. Poked at the center, and Robinson intercepts that. Robinson over to Nyland. Into Naslund. Shoots. He shot that high and wide, and Tonelli clears it for Trottier. Here's Trottier, number 19, into Flatley. Back to Trottier, but Robinson breaks it up, and the Canadiens try again. Pierre Mondeau dumps the long one in. Gord Dineen back to get it. Good pass on the right wing side to Flatley. Now to Tonelli, back to Flatley. Flatley shot it in, but Chelios intercepted that. And Robinson has it for Montreal. Extremely close checking. Here's Chelios for the Canadiens. Rolled off his stick, and Billy Smith cleared it to Trottier, who flips it to Flatley. Pat Flatley moving in, but Gilbert over on left wing went in ahead of the play offside. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are only on USA.
We'll have highlights of Edmonton's sweep over Minnesota, and Gary Green will join me to recap the game, so join me then.
Well, it's very close checking. Both teams playing a similar style of hockey. Not much offense, Gary.
Once the Canadiens do get the puck into the Islanders' end zone, Dan, just watch the way that the Islanders really bottle up that middle ice area. They're forcing the Canadiens, if they get any shots at all, to shoot from either far out or from the wide angles.
We're watching a very defensive part of this series at this point. Here's Tremblay and Baudelaire holding it against the boards. And the Canadiens, of course, despite being down by 2 goals, can't afford to open up too much, because the Editors are a team that will take advantage of one of your mistakes and pop one in, and all of a sudden it's 3-0 and you're in a bushel full of trouble.
Exactly, as well as the fact that the Canadiens haven't really been able to put the puck in the net really easily. Watch the Islanders also, once they do get the puck inside the Canadiens' end zone, they seem to be testing Steve Penny, not so much with blistering drives, but putting that puck to him. Penny has not shown that he is really strong at handling the puck outside of his own crease area, and especially around behind the net. He's bobbled the puck a number of times. His forte has been that of standing up and stopping the shots, not in clearing rebounds and handling the puck.
The Canadiens' success has been scoring first in the playoffs, but they have not scored first in these last 3 games. Now Montreal's Carbonneau moving in, but over on the wing in ahead of the play was Bob Gainey. And you see Bob Gainey, who was injured in the latter part of Game 4. He was knocked unconscious and had a head cut in that check from Trottier. He said he's okay. He's just a little off-center, but he said he's been a little off-center before.
Well, it would take a lot to keep Bob Gainey out of the lineup, believe me. He is just one tough competitor. Very quiet guy that goes about his job and does it extremely well. The 4-time Selke winner for the best defensive player in the NHL.
Anders Keller, Billy Carroll, and Nystrom, the Islander forward line. They're out against Chabot, Lafleur, and Schutt for Montreal. Chelios gives it to number 10, Lafleur. Ahead to Chabot. Chabot, who played Game 1 of this series and then sat out the next 3, back in the lineup tonight, cleared it. Chelios held it in, but Dennis Potvin was there to clear it to center. Chelios over to Green. Green to Schutt. He's checked, and Keller shoots it in for New York. No scoring in this period. All the scoring came in the first. Here is Chabot trying to shoot it. Held in by Potvin, and Nystrom behind the net. Rick Green for Montreal. Over to number 22, Schutt, now to Chabot. Chabot with Lafleur. Lafleur to Chabot. Couldn't handle a pass, and Potvin has it for New York. And makes a diving play to clear it, and Bob Nystrom gets it. His long shot wide of the net. Here's Robinson back for Montreal. To Matt Naslund. Flips it in. And Smith sets it up behind the goal there for Thomas Janssen. Now to Dwayne Sutter, who cleared it to center. And Ludwig is back to get it. Ludwig. Shot at the center ice, picked up by Naslund. Naslund for Montreal. Chase behind the net, still with the puck. Naslund centers. Comes to Ludwig, and Goring blocked that shot. Here's Robinson. Back to Ludwig. Couldn't hold it in as Goring deflected it. And the Islanders have a break. Here's a pass on left wing to Gillies, but Robinson came back to recover and clears it to Naslund. Now shot to center, and Goring there again. And here's Butch Goring once more, giving it to Gillies. Now to Thomas Janssen. Janssen just flipping it in. And Ludwig is there to get it. Gary, do the Canadiens necessarily have to try and open things up, or do they just can't play in the same pattern?
Well, Dan, I think they've got to at least try and get a good 2- and 3-man attack in there when they possibly can. They're not getting much of anything right now. I don't believe that the Islanders are going to give you too much in their own zone, not the way they've played so far tonight, unless they get lackadaisical.
Here's Montreal Smith, tied up by Denis. Now over comes Flatley to try and freeze it there. Puck comes loose, and Strotche dumps it back of his own goal, and Potvin feeds to center to Tonelli. Tonelli breaking in. Tonelli leaves for Trottier. His shot wide by about a foot. Smith now for Montreal to Hunter. And he flips it in an extremely close checking period. Here's Deneen for New York. Into the Montreal zone for Gord Deneen. Deneen centered one. There was Green to break it up. Now Green clearing one, and Carbonneau breaking in. Broken up by Bossy, who shot at the center, and Chelios feeds it to Ludwig. Now to Tremblay. Mario Tremblay shooting it in. And Smith leaves it there for Deneen. Cleared it onto the board. Gilbert and Tremblay fight for it. Now Gilbert comes up with the puck and clears it to Brent Sutter. Sutter, number 21. Tied up by Chelios. Gets loose. Checked from behind by Carbonneau. Now Bossy unable to center it. And Tremblay drops it to Ludwig. Ahead to Carbonneau. Carbonneau moving in with Gainey. Morrow there. Here's a chance, and Gainey hits the side of the net on a little deflection. That may be the best scoring chance we've had in this period. Here's Bossy. He's checked, and Lafleur cleared it to center ice. And then Lafleur knocked down Brent Sutter. Here's Chelios for Montreal. To Craig Ludwig. Now to Lafleur. Moving in, Lafleur dropping it back, and nobody was there. And the Canadiens have to chase back. And Nystrom now takes the hit from Hamel. Then McPhee, he's injured, but here are the Islanders. Caller cutting in. Centered one, and now back of the play, Bobby Nystrom. Injured and in some pain for the Islanders. Exclusively on USA Sports, it's the NHL Stanley Cup playoff.
The ice. He was involved in a collision in the neutral ice area. There you can see it. Now, I think it was McPhee that hit him. It was very difficult to tell there. Maybe we'll see it from this angle better. I think, well, perhaps it was
first
Hamel
and then McPhee.
McPhee then ran right over top of him. One thing about Nystrom, I don't think he wanted to give the Canadiens any satisfaction of knowing that he was hurt, so he immediately tried to get right back up on his feet. But he was staggering. I think that he was in a very similar situation to that of Bob Gainey the other night. He wasn't quite sure where he was.
We've talked about the close checking in this period. Shots on goal. Montreal has had 4 shots. The Islanders 3. And we've played over 16 minutes of this period. So that's the type of period it's been. Still a 2-0 Islander lead. The Islanders shoot it in, and Robinson back to get it. Cleared it. Now Naslund dropping it back, and Chelios feeds Naslund. Here's a 3-on-2 Montreal break. To Nyland, who fanned on the shot. Nyland to Naslund. That shot deflected wide. Here's Chris Chelios. And Gillies came sliding across to break that up. Now Mondeau and Gillies fight for it in the corner. Chris Nyland and Morrow join the battle. Puck comes behind the net, and here is Mondeau. To Naslund. Center to Mondeau. Hit the side of the net. Good chance there, and Mondeau hit the side of the goal. Now the puck centered and cleared by the Islanders. And now Dwayne Sutter able to take the pressure off and shoot it to the Montreal line. Chelios comes back with a long shot. Smith gives that to Dennis Potvin. Shot behind the net. Here's Bobby Smith out in front. They hit the goal post. Mark Hunter hit the post with their best chance of this game. Oh, Hunter again to Chelios. Shoots. He missed the net. Montreal with pressure on here. But Pat Flatley gets it for New York. And Flatley just sat down, flat on the seat of his pants, and on top of the puck. That man, Mark Hunter, just hit the goalpost with the best scoring chance in this period.
Not exactly good luck for the Canadiens. Goalpost can be the goalkeeper's best friend. In this case, it surely was. A good friend of Billy Smith. Right now, the Islanders and Canadian players on the ice having some words. Mark Hunter expressing some extra words with Pat Flatley. Meanwhile, Trottier and Walter exchanging some words. Right after Mark Hunter had an opportunity, Chelios had another opportunity right in front of the net, and here it is. That big shot. You see Potvin going down. His face was in a dangerous position. Ryan Walter, number 11 for the Canadiens, coming across, trying to screen Smith, as they're going to have to do if they hope to get a little bit better scoring opportunity even. Can't come much closer, though, than Mark Hunter did.
From Perth, Ontario, Billy Smith. He's played in more Stanley Cup playoff games than any other goaltender in the history of this game, and he's won more than any other goaltender in the history of Stanley Cup play. And so far tonight, he has shut the Montreal Canadiens out. They ruled the puck was dropped unfairly.
Well, let's take a look at some of the work that Billy Smith has had to do, and the goalpost helping out. There you see that shot by Mark Hunter right in the slot area, hitting that post and coming straight out.
That was the best chance for either team in this period. It's been a very grinding, close checking period. Now the Islanders trying to clear it out. Ludwig held it in. Puck loose at the side of the net, but Dennis Potvin came back to clear it. Potvin out of Trottier. Trottier, a nice little drop pass to Potvin. Now to Bossy. And Bossy shoots it in. Brent Sutter in to get it. Ludwig holding it there. And we got a stoppage score. Exclusively on USA, it's the NHL Stanley Cup playoff. First goal of the game on a power play goal by Brian Trottier. Then Brent Sutter made it 2-0 with a short-handed goal. And in this period, it's been check, 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 and then check some more.
Well summed up, Dan. I don't think you could have said it better. Not much offense whatsoever created, except in the last minute of play there when the Canadiens had a couple of good opportunities.
Here's Chelios to Tremblay. Montreal trying to open the game up a little bit here in the last few minutes. Dump it in. Then Bossy cleared one. Smith drops it back of the net to Bossy again. Nice little pass over to Janssen. And Janssen gets it to Gilbert at center. On left wing for Bossy. Bossy trying to go wide on Chelios. Here's Bossy still with the puck. Chelios still after him. Center to Gilbert. Oh, he shot it wide. Great play by Bossy to set that up. And then the Islanders' shot went wide. Here's Janssen to Baudelaire. Slides a long one in. Steve Penny setting it up for Robinson to Gainey, but the puck went by him all the way down the ice. Smith had to play it, so there's no icing. Here's Kenny Morrow to Baudelaire. Baudelaire for New York. We're in the final minute of the second period. Rick Green for Montreal. Being forechecked by Dwayne Sutter. He centered one. Penny knocked it away. And Robinson clears it to Shabbat, number 29. Back to Robinson. Being checked by Dwayne Sutter. Now Goring and Shabbat join the fray in the corner. And the puck is finally held there. And we'll get a face-off in the Montreal zone. We've talked a lot in this series about the play of Montreal's Guy Carbonneau. Little center iceman has done such a great checking job on Barry Peterson of the Bruins, Peter Stosny of Quebec, and for much of this series against Trottier. He'll be our USA in-between period guest as he joins Al Krugwig in our studio. So stay with us for that.
I think Al Arbour was experimenting there in that last shift. The line that he had of Goring, Dwayne Sutter, and Gillies was really having some problems with Mondu, Nyland, and Naslund this past period. He put them out there instead against Shabbat's line. Look for that in the third period.
Here's Flatley, tied up by Shutt. Now the Islanders, Baudelaire shoots one. Penny got his leg out to get a piece of that. And then Montreal breaks the center. Smith trying to pass to Walter. Broken up, and now it is Trottier dropping it to Baudelaire to Tonelli. Number 27, John Tonelli. Got it in front of the net. Smith is there to clear it away. And here comes Shutt. Steve Shutt, checked by Baudelaire, number 4. And there is the buzzer to end the second period. An extremely close checking period of hockey in period 2. Shots on goal in the second period. Get this. Montreal had 4. The Islanders had 4. Very close checking indeed. As you see, the Islanders head for the locker room. Shots on goal in the game favor Montreal 14-13. Stay with us. That man, Guy Carbonneau, the fine young Montreal Canadian center iceman, will be Al Trautwig's guest in our intermission. The score here in Montreal after 2 periods of play. The Islanders 2, Montreal nothing. We'll begin our second intermission right after this. Out on a line with Tonelli and Flatley as this period begins. Bobby Smith at center with Walter on left wing and Hunter on the right side. That's the Montreal line, and here we go with period 3. And Potvin shoots it around to Janssen. Now to Dennis Potvin. Back to number 3, Janssen. Feeding it to Bossy. Back to Janssen. The Islanders in no hurry to get the puck out of their end. They just do it methodically and make sure. Here's Trottier leaving it for Potvin. Potvin takes no chance and just circles back again. They'll wait for the Canadiens to come to them and catch somebody out of position. Now Potvin does send Tonelli to left wing to center ice. Into the Montreal zone for John Tonelli. Drops it to Janssen. Shoots one. Penny the save on that. Here's a centering pass intercepted by Tremblay. Now to Gainey. Bob Gainey. Leaving it for Craig Ludwig. Shot in behind the net. Potvin is there to Paul. And Paul right on top of the puck. And we'll get a face-off in the Islanders zone. Well, that's the way the third period begins. Hope you enjoyed meeting number 21, Guy Carbonneau. Little second-year center iceman with the Montreal Canadiens, who's had such a great playoff. Now it is Goring, Dwayne Sutter, and Trottier also out there as a backup on the face-off or to take the face-off. And for Montreal, Mondu, Naslund, and number 30, Chris Nyland. Here's Trottier skating over to give some instructions to Butch Goring and Ken Morrow. Now the drop of the puck. Canadians get it back to the point. Chelios lets a low shot go wide. Here on the boards, Chris Nyland. Check. Dwayne Sutter tried to shoot it up. Nyland back to Green. That shot hit Morrow. Now Naslund. Smith just got a piece of that. Just got a piece of it. And back comes Trottier. Over to Dwayne Sutter, number 12. His shot is a high one off the glass and up over the glass. Well, the Islanders got in trouble when Kenny Morrow broke his stick, and that man, Mats Naslund, just about scored. I think Smith just got a small piece of that shot.
Well, it was a very small piece, but nevertheless, it was enough to keep it out of the net. Once again, Smith coming up with a big save, giving his team a lift. Mats Naslund, as we mentioned in the fourth game, maybe suffering a little bit from fatigue. He's only 5'7", 160 pounds, and that may be exaggerated to some extent. Very strong pound for pound out there, and he has been the best offensive player statistically for the Montreal Canadiens. Meanwhile, Bossy on the bench, you can see he's had some problems getting some offense going, but nevertheless, every single game he becomes dangerous at one point or another.
There's that Montreal executive box. They're packed in there tonight. Serge Savard is the man in the white shirt, the general manager. Beliveau is there. Joe Blake. Quadruel to the far right, the far left, the goaltending coach, Jacques Plante. Well, they haven't packed in the Montreal executive suite tonight.
They really do, and you can see the concern on their face, as well it should be. Their team down 2-0 going into this third period against probably one of the best protectors of leads in the third period in the whole NHL.
Here's Kenny Morrow over to Baudelaire. Paul Baudelaire now shooting it into the Montreal zone. Wayne Sutter in to get it. And they rule Sutter didn't touch the puck. And then when the Canadiens do, it's an icing call called. And a face-off back in the Islander zone.
Well, you take a look in the middle of your screen. Gaetan Boucher, the Olympic speed skating champion this year. He has been heralded across Canada. Canadian, right from this province of Quebec. Very popular man.
He's become a real hero up there, hasn't he?
He really has been. Meanwhile, Dan, we see Al Arbor on the way upstairs. I was talking to Lauren Henning, Al's assistant coach, and I had thought maybe they would lay back and play fairly defensively again in this third period. Lauren says no way. Al wants them to start to put on more pressure. He felt the Canadiens were coming on much stronger at the end of the second period. He felt the Islanders were curling back too much. He wants them to put on some pressure.
Ludwig shot stopped by Smith. Now Nyland. Checked by Janssen. Puck comes to the point to Hamel. A drive. That one, I think, hit the post. Smith missed it. And it hit the post and deflected to the corner. So the Canadiens come close again. Now Ludwig into the corner to Carbonneau. Carbonneau, number 21, in front to Gainey. Puck hopped over his stick. And back comes Thomas Janssen. Just flips it in. Jean Hamel going back to get it, number 28. Hamel, a veteran, picked up in the waiver draft from the Quebec Nordiques, gives it to Ludwig. Now to Gainey, and back to Hamel. Hamel takes a hit from Gilbert, but shot it in. Potvak clearing it right back out. And Mike Bossy trying to set up Brent Sutter, but Ludwig intercepts that. Here is Carbonneau. For Montreal, Guy Carbonneau. Checked in the play, and the Islanders come right back with number 22, Bossy. Streaking in, shoots one. Missed on the short side. The Canadiens come back. Hunter to Carbonneau. Into Robinson, but the play offside at the Islander blue line. Coast-to-coast coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs coming to you on USA Sports. Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The Islanders leading 2-0 as Chelios shoots it in for Montreal. Paul Baudelaire, number 4 for the Islanders. Back to get it. Baudelaire being forechecked. Cleared one. Over to the other side to Morrow. Canadians doing some aggressive forechecking. They hold it in. Here's Naslund trying to center one. Tremblay in front of the net. Morrow slid across to block it. Now centered and taken by Baudelaire. And he takes no chance at all. He shot it down the ice. The Islanders, who were under pressure, take the icing call.
One of the great young defensemen, up-and-coming defensemen in the NHL, is without a doubt Chris Chelios. He's not only strengthened his blue line here of the Montreal Canadiens immensely since he's come from the Olympics, but I think he's going to be a superstar in the future. Watch this shot, or attempted shot, by Tremblay. You can see Ken Morrow, number 6, was going down, blocking that shot. Ken Morrow just extremely confident and poised in his own end zone. Meanwhile, Mario Tremblay having trouble, as have all the Canadians had tonight.
Brent Sutter with Flatley. And Trottier also out there for the Islanders, although Trottier is out for just this reason right here. If somebody gets tossed out of the faceoff, he's available to do it, and he'll take it against John Shabbat. On the faceoff, Flatley dropping it back to Deneen. Behind the net to Potvak. Quick pass out. Chelios could have touched it, so there'll be no icing as Chris Chelios chases back to get it. Lost it to Trottier. Big save by Penny on a low shot right along the ice. Now Trottier trying to center it to Kennelly. Here's Shabbat. Tied up by Flatley on the play. Over comes Robinson. Now Kennelly. Upended by Chelios. And Chris Chelios back of that net. Tied up by Kennelly. Puck comes loose as Trottier trying to center it. And Chelios made a good play to get it to Lafleur, who tips it to the Islander line. Gord Dineen back after it. Now to Flatley, number 8. Headmanning it to Trottier, who dumps it in and heads for the bench on a line change. Chelios winding it out of there. Robinson dropping it back, and Mark Hunter has to go back and get it. Hunter clearing one. Morrow intercepting that. Now it's Dwayne Sutter getting it in, and Bobby Smith, number 15 for Montreal, to Chelios. At center ice to Hunter. Firing it in. Billy Smith out of the net to clear it aside to Dwayne Sutter. They got it to Goring, and Goring shoots it down the ice. And as Green goes back to play it, it's an icing call against New York. The score, the Islanders 2, Montreal nothing. We'll pause and be right back on USA. 82.4% of the time, team leading coming in wins the game. You saw Hamel's shot go wide of the net, and again the Islanders clear it down the ice. Hamel, number 28, going back to get it. Jean Hamel, number 28, the veteran, he has not been on the ice for a goal against when the teams are even in the last 6 games. That's the kind of defense he's played in the playoffs. What a acquisition he's been for Montreal.
Has he ever been? And a very much of a surprise as well, because the Canadiens, as you take a look at this big shot of his that just went off to the right of Smith. Smith just got a piece of it, but Hamel has been a steady performer for them, and they really like him because he comes to practice, he comes to play, gives you 100%, even at practices, and that's the type of leadership you need.
I mentioned 82.4% of the time the team leading this year in the playoffs going into the third period has won. The Islanders, when they lead, are 6-1 when they lead going into the third period, and they lead right here. Here's Bossy to Janssen. Now flipping it to Bossy, just out of the reach of Brent Sutter. And now Rick Green cleared it to center ice. Here's Gilbert. Checked in the play in Montreal. Breaks the center, but Brent Sutter stayed right with Carbonneau. Now Carbonneau able to clear it in, and Smith out of the net to feed it to Janssen. Over to Gilbert. Knocked off the board. Stolen by Geeney. To Ludwig. Shoots. That deflected off Potvin wide of the net. And the Islanders clear it to center ice. Ludwig, number 17, back to get it. Now to Carbonneau. Here's Guy Carbonneau. Drop pass, but Mike Bossy, back checking, breaks it up. You hear a lot about Bossy's offense, but there you saw him with a good defensive play. And then Penny handled Bossy's long shot. Here's Green for Montreal. Green trying to get some offense going here for the Canadiens. Morrow skates him into the corner. Naslund over to get the puck. Centered it. Tremblay couldn't get the shot away. Now Naslund tied up on the play by Goring. Puck is kicked, but comes right to Baudelaire, who drops it to Morrow. And Morrow feeds Goring, number 91. Goring to Baudelaire. Baudelaire chased behind. Worked it on the wing to Dwayne Sutter. And again, the Islanders come out of their own end perfectly.
Now they're just very patient out there. They don't panic. They don't see an opportunity to come out easily. They will turn back and try it again.
There's Chabot, hit the goal post. Oh, Chabot had Smith beaten and hit the post. And a quick pass to Dwayne Sutter too far ahead. And the Canadiens chase back. The Canadiens have been coming close. And that chance there by Chabot went off the post. Here's Robinson. Flipping it to Schutt. Broken up by Janssen. And Robinson has to hustle back for Montreal. Now to Chabot, ahead to Lafleur. Lafleur, ridden out of the play by Flatley. Cleared it in, and Dennis Potvin for New York. Cleared it. Robinson held it in. Shoots. Smith the save. Chabot hit the side of the net with the rebound. And the Islanders, Flatley, able to flip it to center. Robinson going back to get it. Here's Lafleur as the Canadiens showing some offense now. Chabot shooting, and it's high and wide. And as it bounced out in front off the boards, Smith smothered it. For our local systems, we'll pause now.
Extremely unlucky. They've had some good opportunities and have failed to score, but they've been hitting goal posts and crossbars. Things are going right for Billy Smith.
Here's Baudelaire for New York, shooting the puck off the boards into the Montreal zone. And Hamel back to get it. To Hunter at center. Now to Bobby Smith. Smith checked by Keller from behind. And then as the Canadiens get the puck, Smith was already in the zone and offside. And a face-off at the New York Islander blue line.
There's one man, Bobby Smith, big center iceman. He's very capable of getting some offense going. But meanwhile, for the Islanders, I thought that last game, that fourth game in Long Island, was Dennis Potvin's best game of playoffs so far this year. And that means a great deal to the Islanders. They get Potvin playing as well as he did in the fourth game, and then as well as he's played again tonight. That really means a lot to the success of their team.
Montreal's Naslund dropping it to Ludwig, shooting. Smith to his knees to stop that. And he held on to it. And now some pushing off to the side of the Islander goal. Mario Tremblay wanted to get into it.
Baudelaire in front of that net area, and Mario Tremblay exchanging some words. John Chabot, the big center iceman. Chabot had an excellent opportunity. We talked about that just earlier. Here we will get a chance to see it. Watch as Chabot winds up. Big shot right from the top of the circle. Now, whether or not that went through Smith's arm or just got a piece of it, it hit the crossbar, I think, and then went up and over into the glass area. Chabot's come close on a couple of times. He was inserted back in the lineup tonight in favor of Perry Turnbull, who's gone to the sidelines.
Well, the Canadiens in the latter part of that second period and here in the third have shown a lot more offensive spark, but they've been unlucky and they have been stopped by Billy Smith. Here's Bossy. Over to Baudelaire. Baudelaire takes a check but got it to Trottier. And Trottier feeds Mike Bossy. Drop pass to Baudelaire in front of the net to Morrow. Morrow now up the middle. Brent Sutter tipped it near the line, and Hamel for Montreal. Cleared it, broken up by Bossy. Mike Bossy moving in on the wing. Centered one. Ludwig there to clear it away. Now Greg Gilbert knocked it down on the boards, but breaking out Montreal led by Carbonneau. Carbonneau dropping it to Gainey. Good play by Bossy defensively again to poke it out. Hamel back to Carbonneau. Carbonneau shot stopped by Baudelaire. And Baudelaire leads a rush for New York. Paul Baudelaire drops it to Gilbert. Gilbert centered one. Hamel cleared it. Now Bossy stole it. Shoots one. Stick save by Penny on Mike Bossy. Now Bossy knocked down. Cleared out of there. And now we're going to get a penalty against Montreal. And the Islanders will have the power play in this game for the first time tonight. We'll be right back as the Stanley Cup playoffs continue on USA. Pulling down Mike Bossy. The last time the Islanders had a penalty was early in the game, and they scored a goal by Trottier. This is only their second power play of the game.
Comes at a very important time as well. If they can score on this power play, it will pretty well ice the cake. And it will give them some momentum, which they have not had this third period. The Canadiens have had the attack.
Puck is cleared down the ice by Montreal. Potvin, Janssen, the point men, with Trottier, Gillies, and the rookie Flatley up front. Here's Potvin firing it in. The play is offside, however. Flatley had been a little over anxious and jumped in ahead of the pass on the right side. There is Pat Flatley.
He's playing with a wealth right now of confidence. He gets a year under his belt, and he's going to be another John Tonelli for them.
Puck shot in by Montreal. The Canadiens shorthanded as Potvin going back to get it. Number 5, Potvin. In on the wing to Gillies. He races in. See Penny knock that away. Now stolen by Trottier. Back to Potvin. Into Flatley. To Potvin. The Islanders on the power play. Dennis Potvin lets the shot go. Carbonneau blocked that. Now Janssen holding it in, but Robinson trying to clear it again. Janssen with a good play to hold it in. Robinson back to get it. Clearing it to Carbonneau. He tries to shoot it to Bob Gainey. Gainey has to flip it back of the net to Ludwig. The Islanders with the man advantage. Here's Gillies in the corner for New York to Trottier. Back on the boards to Flatley to Potvin. Shoots one. Penny, a stick save Rebound. Here's Flatley taken out of the play by Robinson. And then Carbonneau cleared it over the glass, out of play. 39 seconds still remaining in the penalty to Jean Hamel of Montreal.
Clark gets the regular season. He was fumbling the puck. Things weren't going well for him. Now he seems so smooth with it out there. Things have really worked out well for Clark Gillies.
Here's Ludwig from the faceoff. Tries to clear it. Did, and Janssen has to go back and give it to Boudelier. All Boudelier to Janssen. New York still with the man advantage as Bossy, number 22. Carries in on right wing. Drop pass to Boudelier. Shoots one. Blocked by Naslund. Now Boudelier again. Dropping it to Goring. He missed it, but Bossy is there. Into Butch Goring. Goring back to Janssen at the point. Thomas Janssen. Let's fire. Penny the save. Looked in behind him, but he was able to grab it. Boy, that Thomas Janssen has been excellent from that point.
He really has, and he has such an excellent shot as well. Very smart defenseman. Watch how he moves into the middle ice area. Extremely important on the power play. Actually, at any time, when a defenseman can move across the middle area before he shoots, has a much better vantage point, much better opportunity to score. Watch Goring in front of the net area. Rick Green kind of pulled Goring down, took him off his balance. Nevertheless, Goring ended up in front of Steve Penny, someplace that Penny would like to have had him elsewhere.
The Islanders, with the power play goal early in this game, have had 8 in the playoffs. And while it's not scintillating yet, you can see their power play has improved in recent games.
It really has. The confidence seems to have come back. They've got good possession.
Here's Bossy's shot. Stopped by Robinson. Islanders have it. Penalized player. Hamel is back on for Montreal, so they've killed it off. But Brent Sutter and Robinson fight for it. Robinson fell on top of the puck. And with 8 minutes, 41 seconds left in the third period, there'll be a face-off in the Montreal zone. Shots on goal in this game are dead even, 18 apiece. And we're down to less than 9 minutes to play in the third period. 2-0, the Islanders lead. Here's Guy Carbonneau, number 21. Trying to go around Kenny Morrow. Did, but dropped it back, and Gilbert intercepts. And the Islanders come back 3-on-2. Gilbert trying to make a play to Bossy. Hit the goal post. Bossy hit the post as Gilbert sent him in. And the Islanders now know how the Canadiens felt placed earlier in this period. Bossy had the goaltender beaten but hit the post. Here's Nyland for Montreal. Sliding it into the corner. Gainey is there. His drop pass off the mark and comes all the way to the Montreal end of the rink. Rick Green going back to pick it up. Green to Chelios, number 24. Chris Chelios, a pass that Anders Keller intercepts. Streaks in on left wing into the Montreal zone. Centered it. Oh, and Gillies just missed tipping it in. Now Naslund to Tremblay. Mario Tremblay got it behind the net. Smith out of the goal to clear it. And then Potvin flipped it. Chelios held it in. Naslund couldn't get a shot off. Now center to Mondeau, right in. He scores!
Changes life on the Canadian bench a little bit right now. Pierre Mondeau just making an excellent move. There he is, all alone in front of the net area. What a move he makes on Billy Smith. This time, Billy Smith makes his move first, something he doesn't usually do.
Tremblay made a diving check of Janssen and got it to Mondeau, who was in all alone. Janssen just about had the puck out of the zone.
There you see it from the high camera angle.
Watch Tremblay dive here.
Good play by Tremblay, but there's Mondeau. Mondeau really gambled and stayed in front of Billy Smith, just hoping that Tremblay or the defense would be able to keep it in. Very good gamble on Mondeau's part, something that the Canadiens probably felt they had to do was to start gambling a little bit. It paid off. They're right back in this hockey game.
Pierre Mondeau, 6th goal to the playoffs. There you see him on the bench. He made an excellent deke to beat Smith. And with 7:21 to play, the Canadiens have cut the Islander lead to 2-1. The the goal.
Now the Montreal Forum fans have come alive. So have the Canadiens.
Here's a loose puck in the center ice area, and Potvin for New York shoots it in. Ludwig going back to get it as Flatley upended him. Flatley now trying to center it. Here's Trottier, centers to Janssen. Missed from the point. Trottier behind the net, centered. Bobby Smith intercepted. Here comes Smith, dumping it in. That goal should fire up the Canadiens. Potvin back to work it to Trottier. And Trottier a pass to Janssen, who starts out of his own zone. Long pass to Trottier was behind him. And Robinson has it for Montreal. To Smith, now to Lafleur. Guy Lafleur dropping it to Smith. Smith cutting in. Can't get the shot off. Knocked down by Tonelli. And then Tonelli and Smith fall right on top of the puck over in the corner.
John Tonelli is going to have to be instrumental in this last 6 minutes, 26 seconds. He's going off the ice right now for a breather. The Raging Bull can make things happen out there, both offensively and defensively. Very strong, rugged performer who just seems to have an abundance of energy, especially the last part of games. He's been a big game winner for the Islanders through the series of playoffs over the course of the last 4 years.
The scoring play for Montreal, Mondeau, is 6th of the playoffs from Tremblay. 12:39 the time. Key to that goal, Gary, Mondeau had plenty of time. He took the time, made an excellent deke, and was able to beat Smith.
Mondeau really played a waiting game in front of the net area with Billy Smith, and Billy Smith was the loser of the battle. Smith very upset at himself as well. He knew he should not have committed himself, but he did, and he has to suffer the consequences.
Here's Robinson dropping one back, but it hit a skate and bounces to center ice. Hamel has it there for Lafleur. Back to Hamel. Now to Schutt, number 22. Steve Schutt with a pass to Jean Hamel. Into Chabot, but Morrow is there to break it up and clear it to Goring at center ice. And he flips it in with Robinson back to get it. Less than 6 minutes to play. Here's Robinson clearing one. It hit Hamel on the helmet and bounced up over the glass and into the crowd.
Canadiens in their traditional style brought along very slowly, eased them into the NHL, and maybe it's paid off.
Here are the Editors with 5.5 minutes left. Gord Dineen in his own zone. Rink wide to Potvin. Potvin back to get it. Has to drop it to Dineen as he took a hard hit from Nyland. And the Editors clear it to center. Ludwig has it there, shot back in. And number 2, Dineen, gets it and fired it right back out. Green clearing one. Gilbert knocked it down. He's checked, but Dineen backing up. Feeds it to center ice to Bossy, who deflects it into the Montreal zone. 5 minutes left in the third period. The Canadiens try and break out. Now it's Tonelli for New York. Drops it to Dineen. Gord Dineen through center ice. In on right wing to John Tonelli. Tonelli cuts behind the net. Stop. Center to Flatley. He shoots. He scores! Pat Flatley. Set up by John Tonelli. What a play by Tonelli to set up the rookie Flatley.
Well, interesting. We drew a comparison between Flatley and John Tonelli just in this period. They work pretty well together on this play. Watch Tonelli. He goes to drive for the net, but is wide. He stops behind. Now, that's always tricky for a goaltender. But look at that shot by Flatley. Tonelli, good solid pass right up to Flatley in the slot. Where was the coverage on Flatley?
Tonelli stopped behind the net, came out the other side, and Flatley shot that puck almost as soon as he received it.
One real advantage right there. Flatley, right-hand shot. He can protect the puck with his body. Smith was trying to come over to take him out of the play, but it didn't work because Flatley was able to get off a good hard wrist shot and put it right by Steve Penny.
They gave just the one assist on the goal. Meanwhile, that's Tonelli and Mark Hunter doing a little jabbing as we get ready for the face-off. Now play underway as Morrow for the Editors to Boudelier. The Editors with a 2-goal lead again. Morrow flipping it down into the Montreal zone. Chelios going back to get it. And it will be an icing call against the New York Islanders. The scoring
really be put into a panic situation. They, in fact, just come back and try a little bit harder.
Here's Morrow for New York, who typifies this Islander team, to Rache, who pokes it into the Montreal zone. Chelios back to get it. Chris Chelios, upended by Caller. He's going to get a penalty here. And Montreal will get a power play out of this. Delayed penalty coming up. Naslund dumps it in. Smith the save. Clears it to Morrow, and as soon as he gets possession, now a penalty called against the Islanders. We're coming down to the final 4 minutes of this game. We'll be back with more on USA.
There's 2 minutes for hooking was the call. 16:06 was the time. Now, this sets up a very interesting situation. The Canadiens right now taking a timeout. There you can see Chelios being tripped from behind, hooked from behind by Caller. I think it was enough of a hook that it had to be called. Al Arbour right now doing a little bit of pacing behind the bench, but it's Jacques Lemaire who has called the timeout. Billy Smith having a little drink right now, getting ready for some pressure. Something he's very used to, but the Canadiens, you can bet, will amount their best tack. They have to. They don't have much time remaining.
3 minutes, 54 seconds left. There you see Jacques Lemaire, and there you see the Islander bench, and a few smiles in the faces of the young defensemen Boudelier and Dineen. 3-1, the Islanders leading. But Montreal with an opportunity right here.
I would think that Lemaire would be really insisting on that his players attack that net, shoot as much as they possibly can, get in front, look for the rebounds. Don't try to wait for the easy, the simple play, because the Islanders aren't likely to give it to you. They'll take away that slot area.
Bobby Smith, Naslund, and Walter up front. Chabot and Chelios the point men. Here's Potvin upended, and Smith drops it back to Chelios. Shoots! Save! Rebound! Walter flat on the ice, shot it wide. Oh, Ryan Walter just missed a great chance. Here's Chelios to Naslund. Smith the save on that as he went to his knees. Now cleared around onto the other wing. Brent Sutter cleared to Chelios. Shoots one. That's the flex wide. Number 11, Walter battling. Gets it to Smith. Smith and Potvin fight for it. Potvin fell on top of the puck. Well, your old buddy with the Washington Capitals, Ryan Walter, had a great chance and almost scored, even though he was lying flat on the ice.
Well, I've always said it about Ryan Walter. He'll give you 100%, and there you can see some of the pressure on Billy Smith. Ryan Walter had indeed the best opportunity. Bobby Smith had a pretty good chance as well. You can see that Smith was doing some of his own clearing out of the net. That was Bobby Smith that he took out. Here from behind the goal area, you will see Billy Smith doing some of his acrobatics and trying to keep that puck out. He's been doing a good job of it. The Canadiens only scoring once so far in this game tonight. That on a goal by Mondeau.
A minute 21 left in the penalty. Puck came outside the blue line, and so when Chabot shot it back in, it's an offside at the Islander line. The puck had just come outside the line by a couple of inches. The Islanders have Butch Goring and Greg Gilbert out to kill the penalty off. Morrow and Janssen on defense. Now Montreal make a change. Robinson over the boards to be a point man with Chelios. Up front, it's going to be Chabot with Schutt and with Chris Nyland. Face off taken by Robinson, rink wide to Chelios. Chelios, number 24, centered it. Smith cleared it away. Centered again, bouncing puck. And Smith somehow at the bottom of that pile, able to grab it and hold it. Nobody really had a shot, but the puck was bouncing dangerously right at the edge of that Islander goal crease.
I think that puck, in fact, bounced off of one of the Islander players right in front of the net area. It may have been Ken Morrow. Take a look at Chelios feeding that puck towards the net area. There you see the pile-up. Billy Smith somehow always seems to get his eye on that puck. What a game he has played once again tonight. Goalpost crossbars or not, Smith has been excellent.
Now you see Walter getting ready to face off with Brent Sutter. 3:01 left, 1:07 left in the Islander penalty. The Canadiens get it in Robinson. That's the point. Shoots one. That's blocked by Brent Sutter, and Goring shot it to center. Robinson has it over to Chelios. Chris Chelios, checked by Goring. And Goring tipped it away. Boy, Goring has been tremendous as a penalty killer in this game.
He really has. He's had a good series. He isn't maybe doing the same things he did when he won the Conn Smythe, but close.
There's a chance for Montreal. Robinson to Walter. Backhander. Then Naslund shot it wide of the net. And Potvin clears it. Held in by Robinson. Now Goring working on the boards. Couldn't clear it, but Janssen blocks the shot and does. And racing after it, Gilbert. He's onside. Gilbert moves in, and a sprawling save by Penny to stop Gilbert. 15 seconds left in the penalty. Here comes Naslund. That's Naslund for Montreal. Drops to Chelios. Over to Green. A drive! That hit somebody and deflected just off to the side. And the Islanders' Brent Sutter comes back. Green back to stayed him off. Now the Islanders have killed the penalty off. They're back at full strength. Shutt trying to clear it. Stolen by Kaller, who has just come out of the penalty box. Anders Kaller controlling the puck. Gets it in front. Can't get the shot away. Trottier trying to get a stick on it. And Shutt knocks it away, and back comes number 22, Steve Shutt. Ridden out of the play by Ken Morrow. And then the Islanders clear it to center ice. Here's Trottier with one man back. Trottier being chased by Green. Stopped by Penny. Was Trottier, and now Trottier dropping it back, but play had been called. And Brian Trottier with a great chance, but he was in a little bit too close on Steve Penny.
Well, that puck was still loose, but referee Bob Myers lost sight of it and so whistled it down. Trottier just with a great individual effort here. There you see him, pound for pound, maybe one of the strongest men in the NHL. I'll tell you one thing, when he hits you, you really know it. Bob Gainey will tell you that. Look at the move he makes. Just in, as Dan said, a little bit too close. Rick Green, pretty good job hustling back, just getting enough of Trottier, make it difficult for him to try and score. But I think Steve Penny caught that puck right in the midsection, but was not able to get the rebound.
Montreal has called its timeout here. We thought earlier that the Canadiens strictly to hockey.
Well, that's exactly what you like to see, and I think you brought up a good point that the fact that Trottier knew that everyone may be out for him tonight has only made him play better.
Here's Janssen from the face-off. Shoots the puck behind the Montreal goal. The Canadiens, trailing by 2, try to clear it. Bossy held it in. Now into the corner. Ryan Walter to Naslund. Poked ahead to Smith. We're in the final minute of regulation time. There goes Penny to the bench. Montreal with 6 attackers. And Bossy able to flip it high to center ice. And Chabot has to go back for Montreal. The Canadiens' goal is empty. They have 6 attackers on. Naslund with 38 seconds left. Into Chabot, number 29. In behind the net to Smith. Goring broke that up. Clearing it to Ludwig. Now to Smith behind the net. Smith trying to center to Walter. He did, and Bossy is there for New York. Now Smith again. Tied up by Janssen. Centered, and Butch Goring was there again and is able to clear it. And cleared it right up over the boards, and with 13 seconds left, the faceoff will be back in the Islander end of the rink.
Well, there was a little bit of concern there. A fan had thrown an extra puck on the ice. That puck did not end up in play, so the officials just let the game continue to go. Steve Penny on the bench right now. Favor of that extra attacker. The net being emptied. The Canadiens with a face-off. deep in the Islanders' end zone. 13 seconds left. There's really no opportunity for them to win this game or even tie it up even. We would have to score 2 goals, and that is virtually impossible with only that amount of time remaining.
Face-off, when we do get going, will be in the Islanders' zone. Well, the Canadiens won the first 2 games of this series here in Montreal. Series switched to Long Island. The Islanders won those 2 to tie it, and the Islanders on the verge of taking a 3-2 lead in games here tonight, with the series switching back to their home rink for Saturday night. Brian Walter on this face-off against Brent Sutter. Puck dropped and dropped unfairly, so they'll do it over again. Still with 13 seconds remaining.
Maybe Al Arbour switching hotels, just a little superstitious. Maybe that's been the real key to tonight's game, Dan.
He is superstitious. They changed hotels this time in after losing the first 2 here in Montreal. From the face-off, back to Chelios. Flatley, without a stick, came diving out to block it. Now Robinson trying to clear it, but Trottier drops it back to Morrow, now to Janssen, and Janssen flips it. Chelios batted it back in, but this one is over. And the 4-time Stanley Cup champion Islanders, in their bid to make it 5 in a row, show the poise and confidence of a champion as they come into Montreal tonight and win 3-1 to take a 3-2 lead in the series. Shots on goal in the third period favored Montreal 12-8. In the game, the Canadiens had 26 shots on goal. The Islanders 21. But the Islanders win the game 3-1, I should say, and take a 3-2 lead in games. Our USA MVP, the Islander goaltender Billy Smith. Stay with us for that interview as he visits with Al Troutway. The final score here in Montreal, the Islanders 3, Montreal 1.